right, let's go to the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency. Manuel Cranting reported earlier from the University of Ghana, Legon campus. Manuel, where are you now?
So I'm currently at the Faith Presby Church, Faith Congregation Presby Church. Time check by my watch is exactly what 49 minutes after 7 a.m. and the ballot materials are yet to arrive. Well, I just raise my hand like that, and you see behind me scores of the voters who have been in a queue, some of which have been standing here for as long as 4 hours. You can see, and just as we speak, this is the van that has brought the ballot materials currently. But these people have been in the queue for well over 4 hours. Some of them have been here as early as 3 a.m., as early as 4 a.m., all in the hope to cast their ballot. I'm going to turn the camera around like that and speak to a few of them to get the particular time that they arrived here. Good morning, madam. Let me speak to you about. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, what time did you get here?
I got here about 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Yes.
And you've been standing here all through?
Yes.
So when you came here, what have you been told?
Oh, no, they said the boxes have never arrived. The boxes are on the way.
Okay. And that's what they've been telling you?
Yes.
What madam, what time did you get here? Around 6 o'clock, and you've also been told that the ballot materials are not here. There's no explanation that they give to you, correct? Well, madam, did they tell you anything? So, but why are you still in the queue? The ballot materials are not here. You're waiting for them to get here. You are here to vote. Well, I'm just going to try and get into the yard proper. Or you can see somebody came here as early as 1 a.m. But you are the first in the queue. What time did you get here? Speak a bit louder. What time did you get here? 8:30 p.m. last night. And you've been here, what? Close to 12 hours. But why would you come here at 8:30 p.m.? You want to cast your vote first and then go and do your business. And okay, so I just pan my camera around like that. So these are the ballot screens and some of the boxes that have just arrived. I'm going to get a bit closer to the polling agents who have been here. They've been quite agitated and been asking the EC's officials, and you can see them racing against time to now set up 52 minutes into the polls across the country. And that is the picture here. Ballot materials just arriving at the Faith Congregation Presbyterian Church polling station. You're seeing them visibly. Just quickly, if you could just give me a minute as you race to do that. What party you represent?
NDC.
You represent NDC. The ballot materials are just getting it. Tell me the sort of communication that has been between yourself and then the EC officials as you waited.
Yeah.
There has not been any communication at all. So as you waited, what did they tell you?
Official.
Okay. Okay. They kept trying to reach the officials, but they didn't get here. And so they're just taking the details of the seals, the various seals on the ballot boxes currently. Are you a polling agent? You're polling agent. Which party do you represent? You represent the NPP. How long have you been here? About an hour now. What did you see when you got here? Are you going to ask, for instance, for an extension of the polls? Because we are 53 minutes into the polls across the country, and the ballot materials are just arriving here. I'm asking if you're going to ask for an extension. So we know the polls are supposed to start at 7 and close at 5. You're going to ask for an extension. Well, I'm going to speak to the presiding officer here.
A late arrival of materials being reported in Ayawaso West Wuogon in some polling stations. We'll come back to this, but let's cross over quickly to the Odododiodoo constituency. We understand there's some situation developing. Let's speak to our colleague, Ernest Kojamenu. Hello. Good morning, Ernest Kojamenu. Tell us quickly what's happening in Odododiodoo. Hello, Kojamenu, if you can hear me.
Yes, Mama B, I can hear you now.
Bring us up to speed with this developing story there.
Hello, Mama B.
Kojo, just go ahead and tell us what's happening in Odododiodoo. Where exactly are you? What's happening there?
Well, Mama B, I can hear you, but let me just go straight and bring you up to speed on what's happening right now. So there's a total breakdown of order here at the city engineers polling station, which is going to serve as a collation center at the end of the day when the polls have closed at 5 p.m. What happened is that just around 6 when we got here before polls started, we had two major queues. So there was one made up of elderly people, elderly citizens, just so that they can take care of them. And I'm told that the convention here is that they take care of 5 people from the queues where we have the elderly and then the other queue. Now, one of them told me that he was here as early as 1 a.m. But then, once they started voting, they brought in people who were not in the queue. And the EC officials tell me it's because we have 6 centers here, they needed to sort out the people so that they don't keep them in the queue. Mama B, I'm going to go ahead to speak to some of them to try and find out what the problem is right here. A lot of them are disappointed in the Electoral Commission for the way they have managed the queue. Good morning. Okay. Okay, so essentially what she's saying is that the police is unable to control the situation here. So hitherto, they were all behind the gate. So that's the main compound of the city engineers. They were all behind the gate. And it was the expectation that once the polls start, the security officers together with the Electoral Commission officials would usher them in one after the other in batches of 5. Now, that didn't happen. The EC officials, because we have 6 centers, wanted to bring them in according to their code. And for them, that is worrying because some of them have been here since 1 a.m. And for them, the convention is that they take a batch of 5, they bring them in. If you are supposed to vote at the center A, you are directed there. And so they are blaming the EC officials for the confusion. The main compound. And it is unclear who is voting. So what is going to happen at the end of the day is that a lot of them are going to move into the various centers here. I remember I told you that we have 6 centers. A lot of them are going to move there only to be disappointed that this is not where they're supposed to cast their ballots. And then they would have to go into another queue. And that will create confusion. Again, because we have a lot of elderly people in this community, that is going to be a great source of worry. Many of them cannot vote quickly and leave and go about other duties. And so that is the real challenge here. This gate is going down because there was so much pressure on it, Mama B, just a while ago. The EC officials, the security, the police, I must say, had a tough time putting this gate in order because the people had to break their way into the main compound of the city engineers. And a lot of them are scattered all over the place. They do not know how to manage the situation where they are to vote. And as you can see, because of the situation,
manage the situation where they are to vote. And as you can see, because of the situation, many are not adhering to the COVID-19 protocols. Yes, once it's time for you to vote, you can expect that the EC officials will take you through the process of hand washing. But then many have taken off their face masks, social distancing is gone, and there is absolute chaos here. We'll try and locate some of the EC officials so we can get a word from them and find out really how they intend to manage this going forward. it's been pretty tough, and we'll try and get them to speak to us. Hello, madam. Are you able to just speak to us briefly? How are you managing the situation right now because of the confusion here?
There's a senior police.
Okay, so she's directed us to someone else. But let me speak to this woman because I noticed that she was here when I got here at 6.
8 o'clock. I stand here.
You came here at 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock yesterday.
How old are you, madam?
I'm 47 years.
Okay, so you were in the other queue. Now tell us what happened. I saw that you were...
See the thing is going on. See the thing is going on. It's wrong. Wrong dirty. She's failed. The Mensa. Yeah. Please, it's okay.
Okay, where we are.
Come on, 1B, come on, what fale. C1, come on, what fale.
Man number your
yes, no. C1.
Okay, well, I can't be a nurse and no vote.
Yes, I might do more. Into Mobia, no, come on. Into Mobia, man, you're near there, into Mola.
Over it has not gotten into that. A lot of them saying that they are willing to shed blood, but I don't believe that we have gotten into that.
Kojo, if you can hear me, I really wish that you could. Can you tell us about the security situation? Can you tell us if there are security personnel present there?
Yesterday at 8 p.m. to secure her place, and indeed when I got here at 6, she was one of the few in the front row, and so it is quite disappointing for a lot of them who now have to join queues again and in order to make their way to the verification officers and then eventually cast their ballot. 6 centers here, four polling stations, Mama V.
Yeah.
And so that is the situation really here. It's pretty chaotic, and people just do not know what to do.
Well, obviously, because of the chaos, it's impossible to hear me. We've seen, I think, 2 police officers at least, but I wanted to know if they're overwhelmed by the situation and how they intend dealing with it. But Kojo Menu, there on the ground in Odododiodoo, this is the City Engineers Polling Center, which also serves as a collation center. There are 6 polling stations. And the situation, the disorder really is about chaos. That's to be expected, especially when Evans, people went there as early as 8 a.m. the previous day just to wait to vote today. But there are 50 flashpoints in Odododiodoo. So every situation, just like what we're witnessing right now, with the queues is also something to look out for, and we've got to be careful with it. And I'm looking at the pictures now from Odododiodoo as it beams in live here on our screens, and you see the sheer number of people cramped up in a small space. There are Veronica buckets there, but nobody's using them. People are just in queue. This is just cramped up into a space, and with the COVID-19 protocols, this clearly is an issue. I mean, we saw, and Ernest was describing this earlier, when he showed us the gate into this particular place, it looks like there was a stampede of a sort that forced the gate open. And that, for me, clearly tells you that something in terms of the arrangement may have gone wrong, and which is what he's been describing. The police, I see police officers, I see a few of them, not armed though, in this particular space. I see a few of the officers, one particular officer now walking towards the gate as a car now driving into this particular enclave. We don't know who is, of course, but it's a police vehicle. It's a police vehicle. I think they've sent in, this appears to be some reinforcement. This is unfolding on the screens there. It appears to be a senior police officer. Now we have armed police. We have armed police now present at the scene. It's obvious that they've been called in because of the chaos and the way people rushed in. So you see this unfolding on the screens at JoyNews. We're going to be watching this clearly. In fact, going into today, Odododiodoo was one of the areas that we thought, let's watch it closely. Absolutely. Because it's one of those areas that sort of exploded recently. And people, got injured in the process of that. You've mentioned 50 flashpoints, key to watch. But I guess
what we are seeing is a timely response to the police, right? They had men there, but remember, when you're voting, the lesson from Odododiodoo, from Ayawaso West Wuogon, was that police or those who guard the poll, security agencies who get to the polling station, should not be armed. But you should have very close by armed police officers on patrol you can call who can rapidly respond to a situation. It appears that we've seen that play out for the first time here. We've been reporting this for the last 10 minutes or so. They have responded within that time. We've seen the vehicle pulling with armed police officers. That is what is supposed to happen. But the thing about Odododiodoo that fascinates me, it's not a place that shows any keen context, right? I mean, this is the trend for Odododiodoo. I mean, if you watch it, it's an NDC stronghold. Apart from Reginald Nibi Ayibonte in 2000, when there was a tsunami, by the way, that the MPP swept on the back of it to win across the country, and the MPP won there, right? It's always been an NDC stronghold. And I always ask myself, what is it? I mean, my first election reporting task, almost 2 decades ago, was in Odododiodoo. That was the first one. I was dumped in there to cover it. It was such a difficult thing to do because of the chaos that I saw and I witnessed. I had to hide to report at some point. I speak Ga, so that helped me a bit. I mean, Ernest speaks Ga, it will definitely help him too. But the point I'm making is, I look at the trend as you see it on your screen, and there's nothing there that says it should be as hot as it always is.
With 50 flashpoints. With definitely 50, a hotspot.
With 50 flashpoints. Always erupting every now and then. But here's the thing that many watchers have used to explain the dynamics there. It has huge settler communities because of the huge markets that you have in there. So you have Katamanso, and then you go to the market, you have the Konkumba market, for example. People coming in from all over the country, traveling from the north particularly in there. I mean, people sell there. They register to vote there, although they don't live there. That influences the outcome of the polls. That, many have said, maybe it's a contributory factor to why this area is so tense all the time. Although it's a safe area, it is almost like what you see in the NDC's only stronghold in the Ashanti region of Asawase, with all the settler communities and people moving in from other parts of the country into Asawase, and also becoming pretty tense. If you look at Asawase flashpoint numbers, also quite significant. People look at that to explain why Odododiodoo is that tense. Again, the pictures have come. It appears that the armed police officers with a senior officer who showed up there have, in fact, brought the situation under control. And I hope we could get back to Ernest to explain to us how the police officers who just arrived, the reinforcement, how they managed to bring this under control. There appears to be some order now. There appear to be some order now.
Yes, and Evans, we can't go back to Ernest. Ernest Kojamenu, if you can hear me, we see that there's reinforcement. What has been done differently? Hello, Ernest Kojamenu, if you can hear me.
Yes, Mama V, come again, please.
So I'm asking what is happening, what is being done differently from when you reported earlier with the arrival of the reinforcement.
What is happening is that the district commander, he came in a while ago with about 7 of his men, and what is out
behind the gate, like
now,
actually behind the gate, and because of the confusion, because of the disappointment with how the EC officials, they claim, were managing the situation, they rushed in, destroying the gate even in the process. So the police, led by the district officer, the district commander, is trying to maintain some order by reducing the numbers within the compound here at the city engineers polling station. And so a lot of the people are being asked to move out, so that once the numbers are reduced, it will be clear who is going to which table for verification and then subsequently for voting. The EC officials can then direct them appropriately, and the work will be much easier. I can see also that they are considering the older ones, the elderly ones, because, like they have mentioned here, there's the convention that they allow a lot of the elderly people to form a different queue so that they can quickly move out of this place. And so that is what the security officials now are doing with the police now, with the help of some immigration officers, as you can see your shot, Amavi. That is what is happening right now at City Engineers polling station.
Well, thank God there's some kind of order now. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. It's your election headquarters. We'll bring you the breaking stories as we've just shared the story of Odododiodoo in this in City Engineers polling station, which has 6 polling stations. Let's quickly go to the Wuogon constituency. My colleague Rafiq Salam is on standby. Rafiq, where exactly are you and what's the story there?
I am currently located just at the back of the Wuogon Circuit Court. In this particular center, we have 3 polling stations there. And so it used to be several people. You could have counted over 1,000 people there, but now it has been split into 3. So the first one, we have Circuit Court 1A, that has about 417 people. Circuit Court 1B polling station, 416, and then also Circuit Court 2, they are having 622. And so voting here is going on peaceful, except that when we started at the Circuit Court 1B polling station, there were a lot of hitches, and then some of the biometric machines were not booting, and so for close to about 15 minutes, they were only able to.
Rafiq Salam reporting there from Wuogon. Rafiq, thank you very much for that update. Let's go to the Ashaiman constituency. My colleague Matilda Gavi is on standby. Matilda, where in Ashaiman are you and what can you report?
So, Mama V, I'm coming to you live from the St. Peter's Methodist Primary School. And this place is a cluster. It has other centers just within the same center. So they have about 7 more. Earlier, I visited the Ashaiman Government School, which also had so many centers there. And so far, the process has been very peaceful and been very orderly. People are really observing the COVID-19 protocols. Before you get a ballot, you are asked to go wash your hands, and then they make sure that you are wearing your nose mask. You join the queues. But for issues about social distancing, it's not really something they are really checking out for. But Mama V, if you would allow me, let's just take you through the history of this Ashaiman, the history of Ashaiman politics. We know that at the moment it has been shared by the NDC's over the years, it's been the NDC's hot seat, and this constituency usually leans towards the NDC. It is only in 2000 that the MPP somehow managed to win their parliamentary seat here. So over the years, we can confidently say that this seat comfortably belongs to the NDC, but we don't know how it will go this year. So we'll still be observing. And in 2016, the incumbent, Ernest Nogbe, won by almost 17,000 votes. So this year, I spoke with him earlier, and he tells me that he's hoping to widen this gap. And so we'll be observing to bring you all the reports that you need to know as far as this constituency is concerned. When you talk about security arrangement, I would say generally it's been orderly, it's been peaceful so far, and people are really adhering to it. Usually the long queues that we observe at some of these polling centers are not there today, because in a particular polling station there could be divisions about 4, about 2, about 3. So the long queues that we usually get to see are no longer there today. So this morning, it's been a peaceful process so far, Mama V.
And that's my colleague Matilda Gavi telling us about what's happening in the Ashaiman constituency. Her report after visiting some of the polling centers, but also helping us appreciate the history of Ashaiman politics, as she puts it. Matilda Gavi, stay in Ashaiman and bring us more a bit later. This is your election headquarters. We are live on Joy 99.7 FM and also live on Love 99.5. Of course, we're on Joy Prime here on JoyNews. You may be watching on myjoyonline.com. or Facebook, or maybe YouTube. We thank you for your company here on your election headquarters. Evans, I'm not sure there's a lot to say about Ashaiman, is there?
No, there isn't a lot to say about Ashaiman. I mean, but let's just, for those who are interested, pull up the Greater Accra map and let's zero in on Ashaiman. Ashaiman, by the way, was one of those constituencies that was divided in 2004, and then Adenta emerged out of that, right? And so that's the history of it. As we see, if you pull up the trends for Ashaiman, you see that this is a very, very safe seat for the NDC over time. But something I've noticed that we need to mention, you see the queues. Ashaiman appears to be the only example, almost an outlier from all the places that we've been in terms of the long queues this very early morning. People have been queuing from 8 p.m. last night with stones to vote. As all the polls have predicted, with the expectation is that this year we're going to have a high voter turnout. In fact, if you go back to the recently held special voting, the EC says we are at what? 87% turnout in that particular elections. In fact, the CDD poll, the pre-election poll, for example, says that people who spoke to the respondents said 9 in 10 said they were going to turn out and vote. The Irish poll we outdoored just last week also talks about a high voter turnout. And we're beginning to see that in terms of the numbers now. But here's the thing. Are these numbers going to continue throughout the day? Because COVID, as we see, people really don't care about COVID, Odododiodoo, right? And there is, as we've explained over time, appears to be a direct correlation between the turnout and what tends to happen in the final analysis in elections. So what we know indicates that any time in an elections, presidential elections, the turnout is anything between 70 and below, there tend to be a change in government. And any time the turnout is 80% and above, they retain governments, right? We've seen that in 2000 when the turnout was 62%, we saw a change in government. We see that again in 2008, turnout was 70, same. You see that again in 2016, 60%, there was a change. And so that clearly is a story that we are watching in terms of the turnout, and whether these huge numbers in the queue might play out in huge turnout.
All right, let's go to Kumasi, to Suame, to be specific. Erastus Asari Donko is our man on the ground. Erastus, good morning. Great job yesterday telling us about the materials and how they were about being dispatched to the various polling stations. But what's the story this morning?
Well, Mama V, when you come to Kumasi, we've been monitoring events on the streets before we got here to Suame. We've been to a number of polling stations. In fact, the streets of Kumasi are empty, virtually empty, and where you can find a crowd is at the various polling stations, and they've been queuing since 5 a.m. And when you see the crowd here, it's been like this for since 5 a.m. where people have queued across the length and breadth of Kumasi. All the polling stations we visited, the various stations are filled with people who have been standing in here trying to cast their ballots. And so they were in here waiting for the Electoral Commission to start voting procedures so they can go through with ease. Now, this polling station, there are two polling stations here. This is the Methodist Church, Suame. We have the Methodist Church 1 and we have the Methodist Church 2. Now, what they've done is that because of the sheer numbers, they've divided each polling station into two, A and B. And that's how come you see 4 lanes in here with people queuing in that direction to go and cast their ballots. They say that they are trying to ensure that this will increase how the process is going, and they will be able to get people to vote on time. But there are people who are complaining that indeed the process has been very slow as compared to the special voting, where people did not waste time. They did not spend more than 4 minutes through the process. So here it's been quite tedious because of the sheer numbers. So voting has been going on. It started at exactly 7, except some few areas that has recorded delay in the voting process because the Electoral Commission officers were displaying their items. Some of them had some challenges getting their items displayed on time. So voting has started in earnest in Kumasi, and here at Suame, it's been very smooth.
And that's Erastus Asari Donko there reporting from Kumasi. He's now in Suame. Erastus will be bringing us a lot more. We're going to cross over to Studio 997. Obviously, during the special voting, we had a little over 100,000 persons who were expected to vote. Today is really the test where we'll find out the kind of pressure that will be put on the biometric verification devices. Kojo Yangsing, I wonder if your guest can pick up on this. Yangsing, I wonder if...
Spend a bit of the devices and equipment and technology that we're relying on in election 2020. I mean, we are, after all, your election headquarters.